All right, so now you're gonna ask yourself, so what exactly do I do with these? To make this easy for you, I've added this perimeter to your base. Now you're gonna say, but isn't that just because that's the way it's supposed to look? The answer is yes, but it's also there for the setup for this. Take your 23.5s that you just added your nail to and go ahead and put it in. You should see that it fits really well inside those lips. Now I'm going to come over here, I'm going to slide this up, and I'm going to use my fingers on this side to make sure that those are aligned. Bring those together just slightly, especially if the nails are already coming through. Put pressure down on the 18-inch piece. Now, using your hammer, lightly tap the top nail in place. You'll see that it moves, and it's going to move right up to this end point. Now, to avoid blowing this off of the actual base itself, still maintain a certain amount of pressure pushing down while you're nailing. Once the nail is seated, we're ready to do the rest of the studs. To do the opposite side, set the assembly inside your frame. Do the opposite side. Get your next 18-inch piece. Make sure that you're square, that you're lined up with the edge of the 23.5, and start with the next nail. Get your next 18-inch piece, and before you nail in place, use your ruler to double check the distance. The first one should be 4 inches from the inside to the inside, from here to here. All the others should be 5 1/4 inch. So remember, the first one was 4 inches. All the others should be 5 1/4. Double check your spacing. you're ready to put the top in place. Now, because the bottom or one side is already done, you don't need to use the framing again. This is going to continue to shift, kind of like a parallelogram, until you add that gusset. Make sure your edges are aligned. Look carefully. What mistake did I make? Notice my 4-inch spacing nails are now in line with my 5 1/4 inch spaced stud. This is exactly backwards. If you make this mistake, not to worry. You can still come back from this. Take the entire assembly, put it on the end plate here. Use your hammer. And slowly separate. Double check. Now you can see that all your nails are separated correctly. Now, how do you move those nails back out? Very lightly, tap them. And now I'm ready to start over. Check your spacing again. Make sure that you are aligned in the correct locations. I recommend doing the ends before you do any of those in the center. Make sure that your studs are as plumb as possible, looking at that line that you had created to make sure it's still at the center of each of the studs. Now you'll notice that this is going to go into a knot. This may cause us a problem. So what winds up happening is that, as I explained earlier, you simply can't nail or drive a nail through a knot. What's going to happen is the nail's going to find the simplest path to follow, and it's going to do that. Well, in this particular case, considering that this isn't structural, this isn't going to cause us a great problem. So don't be too defeated if this happens. You'll notice here another knot. It's actually part of the same trunk and branch that came out of that tree. Notice what happens. As soon as the nail hits the knot, it is no longer able to go forward, so it's going to find a path. Now, this isn't the greatest fitment, and this definitely would not pass inspection if this was actually a house that was being built for residential purposes. But considering that this is the doghouse, and most of this is going to get covered up by the sheathing, let's not worry too much about it. Center up on your stud. Notice the nail this time goes straight into the wood. No knots. Now, you've got a basic assembly for your sidewall. You need two of these. They're identical.